Welcome back, everyone. Kevin Shea, joined alongside by Jim Wilson, the high school sports editor for the Telegram Gazette and Home Team Magazine. And Willie, Central Mass Super Bowl is now in the book, and we're moving on to the state semifinals, if you will. But we got to look back at these Central Mass Super Bowls because we had some great games. First starting in Division II, that Neshoba-St. John's game, instant classic, one for the ages. You could replay that game once a week, and people would tune in. It was that good.
You could set your clock. You knew the St. John's were going to make a comeback. You knew the show was going to play good defense, both sides of the ball. So, I mean, like I said, it's a classic game. I'd like to see, you know, as much as people want to see Leominster, St. John's, the show will prove they belong, in this which is great for them.
No, and you and I said this. I said it off camera to you. Neshoba beats Leominster at Leominster, and they beat St. John's on a neutral site. You cannot doubt how good this Neshoba team is. And one thing I do want to point out, Tim Cassidy just gave everything he had, physically and emotionally, to that game. And when you see someone play like that, it's just an inspiring effort. If they have, you get a team full of Tim Cassidys that are going to invest that much physically and emotionally in a game, you're going to win a lot of games. And he gave everything he had. He was so drained physically and emotionally at the end of that game. And I'm sure the next day found it really tough to get out of bed, lift his arms, and he had to be really sore. But, man, it was inspiring to see him play.
Probably one of the biggest players that improved from, you know, week 10 as he was when he started off in week 1. A completely different player. He's a great asset for St. John's.
And we've said it all year long, even though some people out there at Neshoba don't want to give us the credit for it. Oh, you're overlooking Neshoba. All year long we've said 5 running backs.
Yep.
You can't focus on one running back, 5 running backs. All of them are effective. You were doing some numbers work. This is why, one of the reasons why they're so good and why they are. I told Jamie before the game that this is the Bill Belichick team. Do your job. Right. Everyone does their job in this offense.
There's not one guy who wants to be like the all-star. They're perfectly fine walking off that field with a win, knowing that the running backs, it's 5, like I said, 5 running backs get most of the carries. They both, you know, I think Benjamin might get 8 or 9, 10 carries. Jake Fire, Mansell will probably get 4 or 5 each. There's plenty of balls to go around for this team. That's what I like about them. I mean, they're all averaging over like 4 or 5 yards a carry.
Right.
So, which is insane when you think of there's not one weak link on that team.
Right.
That, you know, Mike Curtin, that line sort of opens up the holes and they'll get the yards. And, you know, 3 carries, they have a first down, they're moving the chains.
And Atwood runs that offense so well. I mean, the quarterback is your leader. He's the leader of that offense, and just the footwork involved with the wing tee, and you know, you have pulling guards. You got to get to the guys and get to your running backs quickly, but you got to get out of the way of the guards so they can get down the line. He does a great job. Atwood does. And you know what? Looking at the defensive side of things for Neshoba, and this kind of goes unsung a lot, they tackle extremely well. Cassidy is a load. He's 230 pounds. He's fast. He's strong. And he's not trying to run out of bounds. He's not trying to avoid contact. He wants to run over people. And that Neshoba team stepped up in a big way, and they tackled. And it's, you know, it's not easy. When you're tackling a big guy, the first 1 or 2 times you tackle, you're like, whoa. And then it's easy to kind of start to hesitate a little bit and then just put an arm in, or I don't want to, because you're going to get punished even though you're the one tackling.
The alligator arms at the end of the game.
They didn't do it. They kept bringing it on a kid who was a beast.
Exactly. And I think that defense, if you look at what they've given up for the schedule they played, Leominster and St. John's, the only teams to score about 27 points per game on them, which you expect with given the history of those offenses. Other than that, they've kept teams in check. You're not getting too many trips to the end zone against Neshoba. Springfield Central is going to really test that because they're a really good team. Probably their biggest test of the season so far.
Yeah, and they beat Marlboro twice too.
Exactly.
Neshoba did. But as you mentioned, Springfield Central is a really good team, and they played a good schedule, and they played, they went out of state even to play some of the tougher teams in New England. Obviously, they're going to be tested coming into this game. They're going to be confident.
LaSalle Academy, the opening, there was their only loss. They're Rhode Island powerhouse. Other than that, they've won 9 straight. Probably the guy to watch for, best name in football in Massachusetts, Tank Walker. You know, it's just it's like kind of a comic book or a wrestling match. You know, so they can watch him. They're probably watching all the film on him to find out how to stop him if they can. It's going to be a big test for them. Maybe the last 4 games they've scored over 40 points. So, I mean, it's an offense they have to work to shut down.
Tank Walker is destined to play at Georgia. That's the kind of name that is, Tank Walker, going to play in Georgia. Also, key will be the 3rd and 4th down conversions because Neshoba converted a lot of 4th down conversions against St. John's. So, you know, coming up with that and coming up with a couple turnovers as well. Division 4, Grafton Holy Name, another great game. I mean, this one's Holy Name's on the 1-yard line going in for the go-ahead score. Grafton holds, strips the football, and the guy goes 103 yards for the touchdown. That's it. Game, set, and match. Unbelievable way for this game to finish. Even though it was the final 2 minutes, it wasn't like the final play of the game, but still. It's that was what decided the game.
A game as big as that, a Central Mass Super Bowl, you know, for that kind of ending, it showed how well these teams were managed. We said beforehand it was basically a match between two mirror image teams as far as just punching each other in the face for 45 minutes, which is fantastic. You just kind of want to see a black and blue football. Grafton, ever since going to that Mellon Fowle O'Brien combination in the backfield, they've been almost unstoppable as far as putting that offense on the field, because you have the black and blue O'Brien coming up and just run up the middle and just punching you in the face mask, and then you have Mellon Fowle. You give him the corner, he's gone. He's probably one of the fastest guys, Division I player, just like his brother. I think he's going to be, he's really making his highlight. Last couple weeks he's come on, giving that whole offense a new dimension, and the defense has done a good job too. Another one of those overlooked defenses. To shut down Holy Name, well, not really shut down, but really control that game.
They contained it.
And sort of, Mensa was kept under wraps a little bit. That was important because I think that's going to be a key to the Super Bowl for them as well.
Yeah, and it's a Holy Name offense that was rolling. Coming into that Super Bowl, they were rolling. They were putting up numbers and big numbers, and you mentioned. And again, it's the basics of football. It's blocking and it's tackling. And that's when we talk about Neshoba, that was their key. When you talk about Grafton, that's their key, blocking and tackling. They tackle extremely well. And you got to give credit to Chris McMahon and that Grafton staff for making the switch, putting Melifonwu in the backfield, and then they even have some plays where he's in the Wildcat formation. It's a direct snap to Melifonwu.
It should be illegal.
You're just
too good.
You're using your talent, and you kind of go through the season and see what works, but having that ability to adapt and say, you know what, I think we can change a little bit and tweak a little bit, and boy, they are really tough to stop with those two, O'Brien and Melifonwu.
Exactly, because not many people can match up with them. I mean, look at it's two distinctly good running. I mean, any other offense, they'd be the featured back and be the guy getting the ball about 20, 30 times a game.
Right.
But they can share the ball, and each provides a different look whenever they touch it. They can make something happen every play.
Yeah, it's impressive. So they got Chicopee Comp. The keys to beating Chicopee Comp for Grafton, and with Huddle and stuff, they're going to know a little bit about them, but still, it's not something that, we've seen Chicopee Comp, the last 3 years or whatever.
You're doing a lot of coaches are making phone calls, trying to find, contacts. They've been at clinics over the last couple of months and trying to figure out who, common opponents, see what they do. Because, like you said, they're looking at max preps, they're looking at Huddle, they're looking to try to do a lot of internet searching on how they can, but they really, how much can you see? I don't think the tape trading is as prevalent as it has been. And when it is, it's like you get the rainy game from the JV kid up in the 8th row of the press box.
Shaky
exactly. It's like watching the Zapruder film, like Blair Witch Project and something like, I think that's, what number is that? You can't see the numbers. So I think, they're pretty much relying on just going out where, if we do what we do well, they have to stop us. And I think that's what Grafton and the other teams, for that matter, are playing. They're not going to worry about stopping what they bring. They said, would they have to worry about Mellon Fowle and O'Brien, how to stop that, because nobody has so far.
And it's a great mindset. You got to dance with the lady that brung you. Don't change what isn't broken and what got you to that Central Mass Super Bowl victory. Division 5, Northbridge and Uxbridge. It's the Thanksgiving Day game. It's a huge rivalry. The two towns, all this. Northbridge, we talked about it. Northbridge is just so good. They're just too good, and we said you put them in the top 4. You take the top 4 teams in Central Mass, regardless of division. Northbridge is right in there, and they could be the favorite. Could be the favorite to win in that top 5 super matchup, as I would like to call it.
One day we'll make that happen.
One day we're gonna have, like, Kirk Herbstreit has his own thing. I just want my Shea Bowl.
Your legacy. That's what you want.
Top 4. But they're so good. But one thing that struck me about them, just watching this game with Uxbridge, how smart they are. They just do little things so well. And there was a play, I talked about it on Saturday, where Kobe Schofer hits Jake Wood. Hits him at about the 10, 12-yard line. Well, there's a wide receiver in the end zone. The minute he saw Wood make the catch, he turned and he blocked his defender. Wood gets into the end zone. If he doesn't do that, if he's just standing there watching Wood, his defender comes off his hip, makes a tackle around the 5 or 6 yard line. It's little things like that that don't go noticed. Yeah, just smart. They're smart players.
Exactly. And you look at, on paper, you look at these games, like we said, okay, Uxbridge should give them a problem for X, Y, and Z, and then it happens, like, okay, well, maybe not. It's just how good they are. And it's not a shot at Uxbridge or Leicester or anybody else they've played. They made a lot of good teams look silly. What happened in the game plan just goes out the window once you start playing Schofer and Wood and all those guys.
Right, and Chandler Brooks got hurt in this game too, so they were down one of their stars on both sides of the ball. A playmaker on defense, a playmaker on offense. So he was out in this game, and they're still able to do what they do. And Schofer running around back there, as a defense, you have to take chances against Northbridge. So you're going to have to blitz. You're going to have to do some things. And then it's almost, okay, what happens if? Because now if you get through, and you have 2 guys get through clean, Schofer gives a quick juke. He's off to the side. Now he's buying an extra 3 or 4 seconds, and they got 4 receivers downfield, and you got 3 guys covering him. So he's that good. It's almost like what do? Do you drop in an umbrella and just try to make make them dink and dunk you down the field, or do you take chances, which is winds up, that's what you have to do, because Northbridge is going to get up
They're gonna get
2
up
or
there.
3 touchdowns on you, and you have to take chances, and they're just going to burn you.
That's what I'm saying. You look at it on paper, a team like Hoosick Valley, it's a team that, I think I think Northbridge is a 429 to 13 advantage on the teams they've played. Hoosick has like 375 to 125. So it's sort of similar, but again, look at the teams they've played. I'm not sure if they can really stack those up. They have 2 running backs that have gone over 900 yards, but unfortunately, Northbridge's bread and butter is stopping the run.
Right.
I mean, I don't think anybody has really done very much success with them running the ball.
No.
Or any kind of offense, but running especially. So right there, that plays right into Northbridge's strength. So you look at that and say, again, we're going back to the whole, it's not so much of how Northbridge is going to stop Hoosick Valley. It's Hoosick Valley has to sort of contain Northbridge, and good luck with that.
Right, and that's the whole thing is now you have a running team in Hoosick Valley, and their quarterback's a good runner as well, but how much of that game plan goes out the window when you get down 2 or 3 touchdowns early on? Northbridge gets the ball, they score. They get the ball, they score. They get the ball, they score. And one thing that defense does, they create more 3 and outs.
Exactly.
There's so many 3 and outs, and then that offense is going for the throat every time. So if that defense can hold, the Northbridge defense can hold 1 or 2 possessions, and they score 2 or 3 times right off the bat, now Hoosick Valley, what do? Do you stick with your ground attack with its, because you're already down 3 touchdowns. So now teams get out of their comfort zone.
That's what comes
and now we're
down
going to
to.
have to throw the ball. You throw the ball, and you're also playing into the hands of Northbridge because their secondary is ball hawks.
Exactly. They got a great chauffeur, and the rest of the secondary loves. That's exactly what's right about them. They make you try to. You can't chase points against Northbridge.
Right.
Because when you do that, defense sort of steps up, and they have a great linebacking core. They force pressure on you.
Unbelievable.
And the next thing you know, you're throwing a ball, running, and I don't think they'll face too many quarterbacks that are good to throw a dart on one leg, running a bootleg, trying to escape two big linebackers and a tackle, trying to chase you down, running for your life. Not going to happen.
Right, and I love Quinn at linebacker for Northbridge, just sideline to sideline, so fast, always has a great nose for the ball. Now, St. Bernard's in Division 6, they beat West Boylston. This is a big win for St. Bernard's, and you and I talked about this. This is taking on a real physical team in West Boylston and standing up to them and coming away with a victory, and Cooper Bigelow and his teammates deserve a lot of credit.
Exactly. I said on Saturday, going into it, I thought if Littleton couldn't slow down Cole McCoubry in West Boylston, I don't think anybody could. St. Bernard showed their defense is just as good. They really limited him as far as I figured at least, okay, he'll break 2 for a touchdown, and then it will sort of be, again, another team that's tough to chase points because our defense is so good at shutting you down. You give them a 14-point lead, it's pretty much game over for West Boylston. They never got that chance.
Right.
McCoubry had 1 early, and then after that, I think he had 3 carries since then that went over 10 yards. So right there, that was a really good credit to the St. Bernard's defense. I'm looking at the past, looking at a team like Uxbridge, another offensive juggernaut they faced. They sort of contained it, but in the end, they think they got away from them. They ended up scoring like 3 times in the fourth quarter, got back into that game. So I'm thinking, okay, well, it's only a matter of time for West Boylston, gets into gear. They never were able to. That great defense of St. Bernard's, a lot of people overlooked that because their offense had been so bananas. But I think that was a good benchmark for St. Bernard's to keep that game under wraps, not let anybody come out, and they knew stop Cole McCoubry, you stop West Boylston. Easier said than done. Every other the other 10 games of the year. Unfortunately, that's where they were able to make it happen.
And it's still, you can go back to the 1920s, the 1960s, and 2015. Defense wins championships. And you mentioned all the numbers that St. Bernard's put up. Their defense is what won them that game won that Super Bowl against West Boylston. And a great strategy, too. They had their defensive linemen cutting the offensive line of West Boylston, and then the linebackers flowing to the football, flowing to McCoubry. And again, sure-handed tackling and paying a price. When you're tackling a big back like McCoubry, you're going to pay a price. And they did it. They were willing to sacrifice their bodies. They were throwing their bodies into McCoubry, and they wrapped their arms. It wasn't just throw a shoulder in. Wrap your arms, wrap up. Great job by that St. Bernard's defense.
Talked to a lot of St. Bernard's kids. All he did all day was go low on him and try to take his legs out. And it's one of those things. You hit him up top, you're gonna walk away bruised.
Right.
And you're gonna bounce off him. Like you saw that one play in the week before. He's just ping-ponging off defenders, going in for a long touchdown. It was a fantastic huddle highlight of his. Why they were so good. Why they won that game against Littleton because nobody could wrap him up and take him down. Well, you take his legs out. It was hard. It was hard for him to gain traction after that.
So they got to go in with a lot of confidence. St. Bernard's does, taking on Lee in the Central Mass, Western Mass Super Bowls. All right, we're out of time, Willie. We will. This is it. This is our final Frenzy Extra segment. So we want to thank everyone for watching all season long, and we're going to see you again next August when it's football time again.